Register.
There we go.
Okay.
All right, so here we are back again with another episode, and like always, I'm Jason,
I'm Rowan.
and kind of do a little short episode this week. Only really a few topics. First one we're going to go over. Not really going to do the box office stuff. Just don't really feel like it. You can go Google it yourself if you care. But we're going to start the first topic off with kind of something that started because recently, in fact it was just a few days ago I believe, that it was announced that there's going to be an Ocean's 8 movie, this one led by an all-female cast. And as we all saw recently with the Ghostbusters and its all-female cast, it tanked. It's reported that it's going to lose an estimated $75 to $100 million. The sequel's already canceled. It's all pretty much over for that. And it brings up the question, do you think that this Ocean's 8 will have the same fate? Do you think it's, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, it's kind of hard to say for me because I still haven't watched the newest Ghostbusters.
Mm-hmm.
But from what I'm seeing, it can probably go either way. It just depends on how the story is made and how well this all-female cast is going to work together. Because as far as we know with the Ghostbusters one, maybe they didn't work all well, or maybe it was just the story.
Yeah.
Whatever the reason was that made it tank, that's what it was. So with this, I know they're really working hard on trying to get the all-female cast they need to do this. I think I heard like they're trying to get Anne Hathaway in it, but
Kate Blanchett signed on. You got Rihanna.
Yeah.
Mindy, whatever her name is, I can never remember it because I don't really care for her because I've not enjoyed her in anything. And just a slew of others. It's a good sounding cast. And the other thing I think that this movie has going for it that Ghostbusters messed up, it's not a reboot. It's not a remake. It's not a reboot. It's basically like a side story. Because supposedly what is whoever the main actress is going to be is Danny Ocean's sister. And not like a female Danny Ocean, Danielle Ocean, or whatever they decide to do. It's nothing like that. It's not like the Ghostbusters movie where they remade it and rebooted it with an all new female cast.
Okay.
So, and I agree. I think that it really depends on the story and how they go with it. I hope they don't try to do each of the original Oceans cast as a female version of that person.
I hope
just
not.
make it an all original cast, original characters, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Don't try to make it too similar to Ocean's 11. And I think it's got a good shot. Now the other question, I guess that this leads me to is, do we really need them to do all female versions of existing properties? Like we just saw Ghostbusters. Obviously we got this Oceans, which granted it's not a remake, but still, every so often there's always the talk of, every time a new actor's to be cast as a James Bond, there's always let's have a female version this time. Same thing with the Doctor in Doctor Who. Every time a new one's going to be cast, they're always, let's have a female version. And, it just brings up the questions, do we really... Can there be an all-female led franchise that's not a reboot of an existing franchise? The Doctor Who one's about one of the only ones I could really get behind.
I agree with you on that
the James Bond one, just make your own franchise. Don't make a Jane Bond or whatever. That just would be weird. Not to say that it couldn't work. And a female-led spy thriller would be entertaining.
Yeah.
Just don't be a James Bond wannabe. Be your own franchise. You know, same thing with this Oceans one. You know, we'll obviously see how that comes the further it comes. But, you know, do you think that, you know, what are your thoughts on that? How much we're seeing this? We need all female versions of insert this property.
Well, I'm seeing that it's becoming it's the beginning of a trend that Hollywood is trying to do because of the fact that they did this with Ghostbusters. So now they're trying to see, can we do this with any other movie? Now, if they had enough brains to actually go with the fact of just, if you want to make an all-female cast, make it original, or if you're going to use a particular franchise, still make it original. Don't make a reboot or a remake of it, because it's not going to, in my opinion, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Now, going on what you said about the Doctor Who, I could see that working, because Doctor Who is whatever.
It's an always changing character.
Yeah. So it would not bother me if the next Doctor Who is a female, because wasn't the Master a female?
Yeah. In the new in the Capaldi version, the Master is now a female. It's Missy.
Yeah, so I mean, if the Master could be a female, why can't the Doctor be a female? So
and I mean, we've even seen characters within the show become females when other Time Lords in this past season. There was a character on Gallifrey who turned into a woman after regenerating.
Yep.
And even said, it was a great line I liked. It was like, "Oh, I'm back into this body, kind of a body," you know, because apparently the male regeneration was the oddball in this one. You know, apparently, and I mean, it's obviously we don't know for sure, but I think a female Doctor Who could work. I don't think a female James Bond could.
No.
Just if you're wanting to do that, just do your own franchise.
Yeah. Because I mean, look at like that comedy one, the Spy.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do one where you have the female as the lead spy, that's fine.
Do your own movie.
It has nothing to do with James Bond. It's just completely different. I could deal with that. But But if you're actually trying to make a female James Bond, do it not saying James Bond in any way, shape, and form.
Do your own spy franchise.
Yeah.
Do your own spy movie with a female. You don't have to make it James Bond. Now, how do you think, being like we just mentioned earlier, how much Ghostbusters tanked? And let's just say, for argument's sake, that this Ocean's 8 tanks. Do you think that we will see female-led franchises like this? Do you think it might be pretty much the death of it, or do you think they'll still keep trying?
They'll probably still keep trying, because that's just how Hollywood is. They will keep trying at something until they hit gold. Yeah,
until finally this one comes out, and it is.
Because it's the same thing with, like, not trying to bring up DC and Marvel, but it's the same thing like that.
Well, comic book movies,
comic movies, video game movies, until you get that one that actually hits gold, they're gonna keep dishing it out
pretty much time. Until Iron Man, they were, there wasn't the greatest of received movies.
Yeah.
And you're right. It could be something that, they got this trend starting, and then it's just going to take a few before it finally kicks in, and hey, we got this one now that's going to be the gold. They've hit the gold with it.
And if Ocean's 8 does become that gold, it's going to be talked about for generations to come, because of the fact that it was an all-female cast that was similar to what Ocean's 11 was, and it was gold.
Yeah.
And that's what Hollywood looks for. They all look for that particular golden movie to say that this is what makes Hollywood, and
something to kick off another egg to milk, basically.
And I mean, hey, they have a business to run.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to knock their business, because as a consumer, I still enjoy watching movies.
Definitely.
Yeah, regardless of whatever genre it is. But sometimes I just still think that they need to be careful of what they're doing, because it's all well and cool to start a trend, but you got to also figure out like who's really going to be watching it, because yeah, you can get this all-female cast, but who's to say that you're going to get a bunch of female viewers? You might end up getting mostly males watching this just because, oh, it's an all-female cast and they're all hot. Okay, let's watch it.
Yeah.
Versus you might actually get all-female viewers or more female viewers because you actually have something that will grasp them and say like, hey, this is definitely empowering women. Let's watch it.
Yeah.
So you got to figure out what you're going to do with it, and that's the only thing that I have a concern about with it, is that it might tank only because of the fact that they're pushing for this.
Well, and we saw
all-female
with Ghostbusters there was obviously a lot of hate that movie got just because it was an all-female cast rebooted from an all-male cast.
Yeah.
And granted, there's going to be people that are like that. You know, it's what you get with it. There's obviously the idiots that are like that. It's like, oh, it's an all-female cast. Oh, I don't like it because of that.
Yeah.
And screw those people.
Yeah, I mean, I could care less about any of those people, but I mean, it's.
But it's also something that if they continue this trend, they could become very vocal more and more. It's like you're going to start seeing it with every one of these.
Yeah.
And it's going to be one of the downsides of it for sure, is that you're going to be seeing this more and more. Every one of these that they come out with is going to get treated by the same type of people.
True.
That why are you turning this into a female version? No, it's supposed to be a male.
Yeah.
So you'll see that. And
as I said, it's just how Hollywood is going to do, because they are trying to find that golden egg that they can milk off, and as it's their business. I get it. I
now
respect whatever they're
just
doing.
to kind of flip what we were just talking about. Now, what happens if, say, this one's a huge hit? If Ocean's 8 is a huge hit, all right, obviously what that's going to do is cause the trend to explode. You're going to start seeing lots of franchises get rebooted with all-female casts. And I'm not going to say it's a bad thing. You just got to pick the right franchise for it.
Yep. Well, because like what? Actually, for an example, if and this is just hypothetical, if Ocean's 8 becomes that golden egg and it makes that trend explode, they might go back to like in the Marvel comics, because isn't there supposed to be a black woman that's supposed to be the next Iron Man?
Yes, yeah. Well, in the comics, it was
actually,
after Civil War II. This black girl becomes the new Iron Man.
That might be the next thing they might try.
Spider-Man as well,
and Spider-Man
with Miles.
Yep.
And that could definitely be interesting.
But if we're strictly talking
well,
about
yeah, I
female,
mean, just in general.
Yeah, for female,
it could definitely open up more female-driven movies in the comics.
Yep. Because then they would actually try to do a standalone Black Widow.
Well, they have talked about that a lot now. We're already going to get Wonder Woman. We got Captain Marvel coming out.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, Miss Marvel.
Yeah,
or whatever. Captain Marvel's DC. Sorry.
Yeah.
Miss Marvel.
Yeah. Miss Marvel.
We could see more
Yeah.
female-driven comic book movies, like the ones we just talked about, and who knows what else.
Yeah.
You could turn around and get a She-Hulk movie.
That would be interesting.
That could be fun.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll actually get a good Hulk movie then. Not Edward Norton's was good, but the Ang Lee one was awful.
Yeah.
Anyway, but it could open up the door for a lot, and not just in comic books, just movies in general.
Yeah.
You could get so many more good quality movies led by females. I mean, we saw some of it. Of course, we got the new Star Wars movies are like that. Their leads are females, with The Force Awakens with Rey.
Yeah.
You got Rogue One that's coming out with Jen Erso as the lead. You're seeing Disney take the lead on a lot of that, but it could become much more prevalent, which is a very good thing. Not trying to say it's not.
Yeah.
But that's if these movies start making money. They took a huge setback with Ghostbusters. which was just, in my opinion, was just not a good choice, just because of it being such a beloved movie. And not to say it couldn't work down the road somewhere, it's just their approach was wrong.
Yeah.
If they had tried to do a sequel, I think it could have worked instead of trying to remake it.
Yeah.
Sequel, I think it could have worked great.
Oh yeah. Especially if you had the cameo pictures of the original Ghostbusters
as Ghostbusters and not random characters like it did in that movie.
Yeah, I heard somebody tell me about that.
I
didn't realize that. I thought they were. I thought the original Ghostbuster characters were still in it as original Ghostbuster characters, not random people off the street that you're like,
well,
who the hell are you?
But I think it could work, and I think it could turn out very well. We're just gonna have to wait and see.
Yeah, that's all we really can do about it.
Yeah.
But I'm crossing my fingers on it because I think from the way it sounds and seeing how Ocean's 11 has been, in a sense of somewhat of a good hit, because
it had two sequels.
It had two sequels. They weren't bad.
No, they were enjoyable movies.
Yeah,
they were...
so I could see this working, especially if you have a good storyline for it. And honestly, I think they will probably come up with a really good storyline that would really enhance the all-female cast that they've got. Because they did that with the male, in a sense, the male cast that they had for Ocean's 11 and the sequel.
And I think they are doing a better approach with this by not trying to remake it.
Yes. That's the main thing.
And granted, I'm not saying Ocean's 11 is some kind of beloved classic that is untouchable. They're good movies. They're not the greatest. It's not going to top anybody's greatest movies of all time list.
Because technically, the Ocean's 11 was, in a sense, a remake of.
Well, it was a remake wasn't it? Because that was like Sinatra.
Yeah, that was with the Rat Pack. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Ocean's 11 itself was a remake of Ocean's 11 with the Rat Pack. Now, that was one thing where you can say like, oh, okay, you can see that. Yeah, you got two different types of cast, but it still was a male cast, and the storyline may have been different, but it still was enjoyable from both when you watch the classic one and you watch the latest one. Now, Ocean's 8, this is all-female cast, but it has nothing to do with Ocean's
You're not remaking it. You're doing essentially like a alternate, or not alternate, but like a side story.
Yeah, a side.
It's a side story to what Ocean's 11 was. And like I said, I think that's the best way to start it. Yep. If this is a trend you're trying to do, this is the best way to start it. I think that'll work. But of course, we'll have to wait and see.
Yep.
Trailers could come out, movie comes out, and it sucks.
That's true.
That could happen.
That definitely is true.
So with that, we'll just leave it there, and of course we'll see what happens when it happens. Our next topic, it's one we've touched on before. It's Pokemon Go. They just recently did this big update to the game. It's kind of a controversial update, we'll say, where they completely removed the tracking system in the first update. And also at the same time shut down all the other websites and apps that people use for tracking, like PokeRadar, PokeVision, stuff like that. That caused a huge scene, so to say. Yeah. Because it brought up a question to a lot of people. It's, well, your game is broke. You have a feature of your game that does not work, which caused these other people, to come up with an alternative to your broke system. And instead of fixing your broke system, you completely remove it, and at the same time you force people to shut down the fix that people were using as an alternative. Yeah. Now, they have since released some new version of tracking that I can't figure out for the life of me. I don't understand. Sightings. Yeah, I don't understand how the hell it works to tell me when I'm getting close to one.
Heck if I do.
But in my opinion, they should have let these alternate versions stay, the PokeVision and all that, until they fix their tracking system. because it gives people an alternative until they get a fix for their design.
Yeah.
And I think that was a huge mistake that Niantic did, or however you pronounce this company's name.
Niantic, I think. That's what I've been hearing.
It was a huge mistake on their part. And another thing with this update that I've noticed, and I know we were talking about it earlier and you agreed with it, was that the spawn rate seems to be a lot lower.
Yeah.
On my way to work, I used to be able to get 5 to 6 sightings. Whether or not I caught them all is a different story, which that's something I'll touch base on in a few minutes. But now on my way to work, if I get one, hey, that's great. All right.
I'm the same way too.
I mean, it just seems like they're taking steps backwards.
I think they are too. And I don't know if maybe somebody is buzzing something in their ears telling them that no, you got to make it more archaic because that's how it was in the show. Like nobody really had radar. They just walked around in the grass or walked around somewhere, found a Pokemon, caught it if they can catch it. Yeah, so I think they're trying to. I know they want to give us the feel of the show. I get it, but I'm sorry. We're in 2016, not 1990, whatever.
It's a game,
and it's a game. It's a freaking game.
Yeah.
You got to give us tech in order to actually do the game.
Yeah.
Come on. They had a Pokedex. How else are you gonna know what Pokemon you caught? How else are you going to know about what the Pokemon likes or whatever, because that's what the Pokedex was for. Yes, our little Pokedex only just shows us that, yes, we caught whatever we caught. Doesn't exactly tell us much about it. Doesn't tell us jack squat. I barely even use it.
I never look at it myself.
I've looked at it 3 times, and only because I was trying to show somebody, hey, I caught this one, and I just realized that I was missing something before that. So I was like, oh, okay, now I see what it is. And I mean, it's helpful to an extent, but that's minute compared to your Pokeradar.
Yeah.
That is what we needed. That's
being able to see.
That was the market. That's what you actually made us freaking download this app for, was to use this radar so that we could actually track the Pokemon.
Yeah.
It's one thing if you got the Pokemon integrated on our camera to look like it's in our house, or it's on a street corner, or it's in the middle of the street. That's all well and cool. But if we can't find the Pokemon or figure out where the heck we're going,
figure out how to actually get to.
Yes. It's kind of like it's ridiculous. We're like aimlessly wandering around like retards, and it's stupid. So
and it kind of takes away from the experience when when it first came out, you'd open it up, you're like, look at the tracker, it's like, holy shit, there's a Pikachu nearby. Yeah. And you would get up and go around the whole neighborhood everywhere to find this damn Pikachu.
Exactly.
Now you look at it and you're like,
there's a Pikachu, but
there's one nearby, but
I'm not sure where I'm going.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where the hell I'm going. Oh well, put it up.
Well, case in point, today actually I found a Pikachu that wasn't on the radar.
Yeah.
I had a bunch. I was at Oglethorpe Mall. All I saw on my radar was Pidgeys, Rattatas, Spearows. I think I saw something else a Weedle. Yeah, and a Weedle.
The basics.
Yeah, just the basic Pokemon that you normally find everywhere. So I'm walking to the food court. There's a Pikachu. Just pops up on my screen, but it's not on the radar. Not there. So it's like, how do you know when you have an actual Pokemon that you really want?
Yeah.
If it's not going to show up on the radar, and your radar is plastered with the basic Pokemon that you already know is going to be there regardless of wherever you stand.
Yeah, the ones that are everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, you might as well take away those because everybody knows they're there.
Nobody's going to go hunting for a Pidgey.
Because
not going to happen.
Yeah.
Same thing with a Rattata. I'm never going to go hunting for one because I know they're everywhere.
And the same thing goes with Caterpies and Weedles. Unless you really, really are
Caterpies have been a little rare for me. Weedles are all over the place, but Caterpies I haven't found as much.
I agree with you. After that update, Caterpies have been almost as rare as a Pikachu.
Well, that's the other thing, is it's with this update, pretty much all I get is just the common stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I've been all over the place. I've been downtown. I've been all over, and
every 5 steps is a Pidgey.
It's still just the basics now.
Yeah.
You know, even on my radar, I'm only seeing the basics. I'm not seeing anything outside of Pidgeys, Rattatas, Spearows, you know, maybe a Poliwag, Goldeen, just the kind of stuff that you see a lot of.
Yep.
I'm not seeing the icons of ones I've not gotten yet.
Because for me, I've been wanting to get I still want to get a Gengar. I have a Haunter now, but it took me forever to get my Ghastly to evolve because I could not find a Ghastly no matter where I went.
They were hard, even for me.
They were just hard
not,
to find because you would think that they would be in a certain type of location, say a cemetery, a ghost Pokemon. You would think that. No, they're not there. They're not even anywhere near something that even remotely looks like something that they would haunt a place.
Yeah.
So you're like, where am I gonna find these things? So luckily for me, I managed to actually hatch like 2 Ghastlies that were at least up there with their candies. So I was like, yeah, I finally can evolve it. But ever since this update, you can't find a Ghastly. You can't find certain Pokemon anymore.
That talking about the hatching, that we knew from the beginning that there was like a meter to know that how fast you were going was too fast to count for hatching an egg. But it seems like since this update, that whole thing is just broke.
Yes, it is.
I've been walking. Every once in a while, me, my wife, and my son will do like a mile walk around the neighborhood. All right, with a pit stop at the park by our house just to let him play.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's a mile. I know the game does it in kilometers, which I think are higher than a mile, but either way. And it might go up like 0.4. And I'll be in the middle of the walk and look at it, and it's not moved. It's still not gone up at all.
Yeah.
And it just seems like that whole system has now broken. Just to touch base with what I mentioned earlier about catching Pokemon, I don't know what level you are in the game. I'm 21.
I'm at 19.
And it is so much harder.
Yes.
To catch stuff now.
Yes. Even the freaking level CP powered 10 Caterpie is almost like impossible to catch.
I had a CP58 Rattata. I went through. It got to a point I wasn't going to let that little rat get away.
Yeah.
Because that's how frustrated I got. 20 Pokeballs.
What?
And I also used like 12 of the raspberries. Because I'd hit him, he'd get in the ball, it'd wiggle once, he'd break out. And that was even with the raspberries that are supposed to make them easier to catch.
Were you standing still when you were doing it?
Yeah.
Okay, because I was wondering, for some strange... Now, listen, folks, who play Pokemon Go, this is just my theory, okay? Not... Unless you really want to try it, you can. But I walk around Lake Mare and sometimes Oglethorpe Mall. And I have my daughter with me, so sometimes if I catch a Pokemon, I will continue walking, and I notice that as I'm holding the phone on the stroller bar, it will make it move a little bit, so it's actually making the Pokeball shake and shake and shake until it gets to that last shake, and then it will say I caught it. Now, there are occasions where it doesn't always work, so I'm not saying that it's a surefire way to catch, regardless if it's a CP10 to CP 600 or above. As it's just one of those things where I can see why the system is broken, because if you're standing still, for some reason it's like it needs some type of vibration to show that the Pokeball is still moving and that you're walking or something, so that it can actually catch it. Whereas when we played it on the handheld, you just sat there and watched it. Now, I mean, I didn't always sit there and just watch it. I would still be shaking my Game Boy going like, come on, come on, come on. Yeah, and I caught it. But I think that's one of the things that I've noticed that when you're actually catching the Pokemon on your phone, if you're moving, somehow it still gives you a higher chance of it catching. Now, if you end up getting into an area where the GPS just drops,
yes,
it will F it up for you, because I've had that happen a few times where I was catching, I think, yes, I can actually say this. I was actually trying to catch a level 500 Jigglypuff at Lake Mare, and I was walking, and it was going. Then the GPS drop broke out before I got to that last one, broke out and ran. I was like,
yeah. That's the other thing I noticed is so much more now since I hit it. It started in the late teens, where so many times now, throw the ball, they get in, wiggles, they break free, run away.
Yeah.
I mean, it just ruins it, and
it's not even so much just like the higher level ones. It's even the
low level stuff. Yes, and the big problem I have with this is, especially where I live, there's not a whole lot of Pokestops and gyms and ways for me to get more Pokeballs. So when I'm at this point in the game where it's taken me a lot longer to catch stuff, it really doesn't make me want to play.
Yeah.
Until I know I can go to, say, downtown where there's Pokestops everywhere.
And even then, it's like, you go downtown, yeah, you got all the Pokestops that you want, but the Pokemon rate there, spawning rate, is like ridiculous, because you would think that it would be like a vast amount of Pokemon around. Mm-hmm. But half the time it ends up still being the same basics. You may occasionally find some rare Pokemon that you either haven't seen or that you know for a fact only resides downtown. So you trying to find that one makes it even harder, because they just don't spawn. Yeah. Like Dratini. For us who live in Savannah, we can only really find a Dratini downtown on River Street, or even hatch it from an egg.
And I say that's where I got mine. My first 10K egg, I got a Dratini.
Yeah, but it's like it's either or for us.
Yeah.
Now, other places you might be able to find a Dratini somewhere else. Now, yes, we have a few people that we have seen from the gym standpoint that have Dragonites, and we're not even sure how the heck they got that.
Exactly.
Because, like I said, for us where we live, we can only find a Dratini on River Street, or at least on a 10K egg. And if they had a bunch of 10K eggs that hatched Dratinis nonstop, then they had a real good lucky streak. Because I
had it one time. 3 of my 5K eggs in a row were Growliths.
I still haven't gotten a Growlithe.
I'm like 2 candies away from getting Arcanine now. And I don't know where a Growlithe is. I've yet to find one out in the wild.
It's always on my radar that there is a Growlithe somewhere, but I can never find it. Now, I managed to get enough Geodudes to get a Golem, so I was like,
the only Geodude I got was from an egg. I still have yet to get one.
Lake Mare is where you're gonna find Geodudes.
I gotcha.
So I literally went to, I think 3 days straight, I went to Lake Mare and caught nothing but Geodudes.
Nice.
And I made sure I caught, because the very first Geodude I had already had maybe 3. So I just kept catching Geodudes till I got it to over 125. So I was like, yep, now I can finally evolve all the way to a Golem. And even now it's like, yeah, my Golem is not, it's actually not as powerful as my Vaporeon, because, now that's the other thing. The Eevees, which I didn't even know that, because somebody actually told me that if you name your Eevee Sparky, that's the only way you're going to get a Jolteon.
It's
which is stupid.
It's random. I mean, I don't know if anybody's ever figured out the proper way to evolve them.
Yeah, because I've gotten 3 Vaporeons from Eevee, and it's like I'm sick and tired of it. I have my Flareon, which is to me is weak. My Vaporeon is like the highest Pokemon that I have, and I'm like, but that was the one that I was pairing up the Eevee because I was like, I want to get a Jolteon. Finally got it to a point where I was like, okay, this Eevee is strong enough. I know when I evolve it, it's gonna be high level. Got a Vaporeon. I was like, what the hell? So then somebody told me, yeah, you gotta name it Sparky.
Change the name to Sparky. You'll get a Jolteon, Pyro for Flareon, and like Rainer or something like that to get your Vaporeon.
I didn't name my Eevee for when I got my Vaporeon or my Flareon. It
when I did it,
popped up as a Vaporeon.
The first time I ever evolved an Eevee was before that came out, and I got Flareon. Just named Eevee. You know, and I never did the nickname change and all that, and I still got a Flareon. And then the second time I did it, I got a Vaporeon.
Yeah.
And then from there on, I did the nickname ones, and it worked. You know, I got another Flareon because I tried the name with Pyro, and that's actually my highest of the evolutions. And then actually just now, it's what I was just doing was evolving mine and nicknamed him Sparky and got Jolteon. So now I got all three. So.
Well, I already got all three. It's just that my Jolteon was like the lowest, so I was like, I'm gonna get me another Eevee and power it up so I can get at least at least be up there because
it's Jolteon is my weakest, but only about 1 point. You know, I just evolved him. He was 1244. My Vaporeon is 1144 and 1145, and then my Flareon's 1219.
My highest is 1529. That's my Vaporeon, and then the next thing is my Golem at 1190. I was like,
my highest is it's a common one you see a lot of people have, and that's Executor. He's 1529, and then from there I actually just the other day caught an incredibly badass Pinsir, 1244.
Nice.
So, and then from there Flareon and so forth and so forth. But I just think this game's going to plummet if they don't start fixing these problems.
Yeah.
Quit bullcrapping us with, oh, we're working on it around the clock, blah, 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 blah.
Because I don't think you are.
No. Obviously, you guys were... The way I look at it, it's one of two things. All right? You released the game knowing it wasn't working properly, in which case you are morons. Mm-hmm. And basically cheated everybody who played it from launch. Or two, you're just incompetent and thought the game was working without testing it, in which case you're still morons.
Yeah.
So quit bullcrapping us with these stories of, oh, we're working around the clock to fix it, and all we've gotten is more broken features.
Yeah.
So just quit it. Fix your game.
And here's a tip. Just because it happened in the show doesn't necessarily mean you got to make it happen in the game. Okay? The show is different from the game.
Yeah.
Please understand that. I get you want us to give us the feel of it. You're giving us the feel of it by allowing us to play the game in a different way. That's all you need to do.
Yeah.
You don't need to make it so broke that we actually feel like we're in the show and we're legitimately going to catch this Pokemon knowing it doesn't actually exist.
Exactly, yeah. So.
I mean, until somebody actually finds these Pokemon, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay?
I also want to know where all these Snorlaxes are I keep seeing. I see it everywhere.
I was wondering if anybody else noticed that because
I've yet to see one.
I have seen Snorlaxes from everybody that seems to have a gym has a Snorlax.
Yes.
Some way, shape, and form. But where the hell are these freaking Snorlaxes are?
Yeah.
I have a coworker that's found a Snorlax. I'm like, where? How? Why did you find it, but yet I can't find one?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, they still got a long way to go to make this game completely functional. It has been by far the most disastrous launch of a game I think I have ever seen.
Yeah. And I'm not much of a gamer. And for me to still be playing this game, knowing that if I don't like a game, I'm gonna automatically stop playing it.
Yeah.
The only reason why I'm still playing it is just because of the fact that there are some Pokemon that I really want to catch, and I really want to just level it up. And now that I've got an idea of how to do this leveling system, I am gonna still play, even if it means capturing 500 Pidgeys and Rattatas and Weedles and whatever other basic crap that we get. Because hell, that's the only other way, because I'm not going to spend money to go get...
I did it once. I'll admit, I did the $4.99 to get the coins. It's the only time I'll ever do it. Never do it again.
Yeah. And
I'm not going to spend the money on this because they're essentially breaking the game.
Yeah.
And making it...
Even the gym thing is still not... I have an interest, but it's not up there for me to actually try and take a gym.
They still, and I know we mentioned it the first time we talked about this, the game needs a much better tutorial.
Yes.
That would make it so much easier to understand what's going on if it just spent 2 minutes explaining this stuff.
Yes, there's nothing wrong with giving us a 2-minute video, even if
or just even show it when you're starting your game.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, here's how a Pokestop works. This is how gyms and gym battles work. Here's how the proper way to catch Pokemon. Here's how to use your eggs.
Yeah. Hell, my Dragon Ball Z game gives you a freaking better tutorial.
And I still don't understand that game. It's a weird game.
Yeah. But I like it.
It's weird.
I like it though.
Yeah,
it's cool.
You're weird.
I know I'm weird, but anyway. but yeah, I mean, like I said, if they gave us a tutorial, I think a whole lot of people would have been a lot better off, and we would at least have an understanding of what we're doing.
Yes, I agree.
Throwing us into a den of wolves is not.
Yeah, it's not the best way to keep people playing your game. I already know, I used to have 3 coworkers who played this. None of them do anymore.
Wow.
Because it just, they live in areas that don't really have Pokestops, and they weren't going to buy any Pokeballs. So they ran out of Pokeballs, and oh well. That's the last, they haven't played it since.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, it's definitely an issue that needs to be fixed. I know they tried to have this deal on the website where you could submit a location to be a Pokestop or gym, but that went down fast because I'm sure they were flooded with requests constantly, probably millions upon millions of requests. So it's understandable why they shut that down and took it down. Makes sense, but at the same time, it's people have a valid reasoning for this because I have to drive 30 minutes to get anywhere with a decent number of Pokestops, and that's from driving from where I live into downtown Savannah.
Wow.
Takes me 30 minutes just to get a good number of Pokestops and gyms to actually be able to do stuff. And with my job and everything, that's pretty much the weekends is the only time I can do that.
Yeah. And I mean, even for me, it's like where I am, or where this is being shot at, it's like, I have the post office down there for one Pokestop, but I still have to drive down to either the mall that's going towards downtown or the mall that's on the other end.
Yeah.
And it's like, those are the only times I would ever really get to do that, or Lake Mare, the park that we have.
Is there even a gym over there, or is it just stops?
No, there's a gym.
Oh, there is? Okay.
Both of them have gyms. It's just...
At Lake Mare?
Yeah, Lake Mare also has a gym too.
I haven't been. I know the balls do. So you got the library down here, and then the little middle fountain at the Oglethorpe Mall. So I didn't know about Lake Mare though.
Yeah, Lake Mare has one right there in the front when you're coming in.
But yeah, I mean, I know there's already been a decline in users of the game. I read some stuff about that a few weeks ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, that's to be expected with any game.
Yeah.
You're always going to get shitloads that play it at the start, and then people lose interest. But I mean, if they don't start fixing these problems, that number's going to grow dramatically.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see how it goes with it.
Till then,
I mean, I barely play it as it is right now, just because it's not that fun anymore.
I only play it just because I want to get that daggone Gengar. That's all.
Well,
I don't care about any of the Pokemon. It's like I want to be a Gengar master. I just want to get that Gengar.
I caught one of my favorites already, and that was Scyther. I would love to get a Charizard, but
I got a Charmeleon now.
I have yet to even get another Charmander.
The 2K eggs.
I have hatched a shitload of them and got a shitload of Pidgeys and Rattatas.
I managed to get 2 Charmanders out of the 2K eggs and 2 Charmanders downtown, and of course my one that was already my starter.
Yeah, your starter. Yeah.
So all that combined
got me a
Charmeleon, and now I have to go find an F ton of Charmanders because all I have is
at least
one.
it's not as bad as trying to evolve a Gyarados. Need 400 of them bastards.
Which that's another thing. Whose bright idea was it to really? I mean, I know in the game.
I get it because it's Gyarados. He's supposed to be the big badass. But 400. Really? You have to catch about 100 Magikarps.
Yes, and that's
a lot of freaking Magikarps.
Now, don't get me wrong. We have seen a few Gyaradoses in the gyms.
Of course, yeah.
But those people probably had nothing else better to do with themselves, sat down a river street, and literally caught every Magikarp that popped into existence. Because other than that, I don't really see how it is possible. Now, I have already caught at least 10.
I've caught a few. I don't remember how many. I've caught a few Magikarps myself.
But mine only has gone up to, I only have 25.
Mine's like 120. So.
No, I mean, like, the CP power mine is like 125.
Oh, you're talking about the candy amount.
Yeah, the amount of candies I have is 25 after the amount I've caught so far.
One of the best I had, I had this happen to me, and I saw somebody on Facebook posted about it. I caught an Ivysaur before I ever had a Bulbasaur. His CP was 17. Alright? Here's a better one. I saw this person posted a picture of a Venusaur they caught that was 35. That's some trolling shit.
Yes, that is. That's
here's
messed up.
Here's Venusaur, the final form. CP's 35. I would probably throw my phone if that popped up. Because that's some bullcrap there. That's some trolling crap there in the answer.
Yeah, so I think they need to figure out what they're doing with even just the hatching.
Yeah.
Because
there's a lot they need to work on. I don't think anybody can deny that. So
yeah,
let's see what happens. I mean, I'm still going to give the game a shot. I still play it every once in a while.
I play it every day.
Every once in a while for me. I used to do a lot more with it, but then it just doesn't seem to be working. So
no, I just mostly play it just so I can hatch the daggone eggs. Because every time I go to a Pokestop, another freaking egg appears, and I'm like, dang it! I just finished getting rid of one. Can you let me finish getting the rest of them done?
Yeah.
So yeah.
But we'll see.
That's what I play.
And that's it for tonight. That's all we got. Hopefully next week we'll. Hopefully it won't just be the two of us. We're trying desperately to get Duck back on here since he's the comic book guy. Yeah. We really want to talk about some comics and movies and the failings of a certain company.
Yeah.
Won't name any names, Warner Brothers. And hopefully just get some insight into some of them and why they're not doing so good, DC. And what they can do to be better. And maybe actually give some competition to the one that's actually reigning, Marvel. And but that's our show. We'll be back next week.
Yep.
Have a good night.